Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. I hope you're doing well. Who'd have believed it? Nick Webb is a champion again. Nick Webb, 37-year-old heavyweight from Surrey, hasn't fought for 3 years. He's now the Southern Area champ, and he won the title with a ninth round stoppage over previously undefeated Courtney Bennett, 28 years old, so 9 years younger. Like I say, undefeated in five. And Webb, like he's been out for 3 years, Nick Webb. The last time he was seen in a boxing ring, he was getting smashed up in one round by Fabio Wardley. Ring any bells? Yeah. But prior to that, he scored a very good win in the same year, 2021, over Eric Pfeiffer, who was undefeated in seven. And Nick, Nick has always been that sort of English level operator. The fight against Wardley, that was for the British title. But I think I'm right in saying this is Nick's first belt. And, he thoroughly deserved it. Weirdly, I looked at his box rec record before the fight, before I watched the fight. This was on TNT Sports, by the way. And he'd never been beyond 6 rounds in all his career. He turned pro in 2015. So, we're getting it 9.5 years ago, something like that it is. He'd had, apart from Wardley doing him in one round, Dave Allen knocked him out. He was the first one to beat him. Dave Allen knocked him out in 4. And then Kamil Sokolowski, the Polish journeyman, who was a lot better than his losing record suggested, he knocked him out in 3. So Nick's always been a bit vulnerable around the whiskers. And you did think, especially when you saw him coming in at about 20 stone, you thought, is he going to go down the journeyman route? Is this just a payday? Is he just fodder for the up-and-coming Bennett? If you look at Bennett's 5 fights prior to this, he'd fought absolutely no one. I mean, even by the standards of, journeymen, they were low-level guys. His 2 fights ago, he fought a debutant who he knocked out or stopped in 3 rounds. He only got 2 knockouts out of 5 wins. So you're thinking, okay, this could be a step up for him, but you were kind of expecting the undefeated Courtney Bennett to win. If he's going to go anywhere, he's got to be winning these fights. Well, the fight started, and I thought Bennett won the first round, as you would expect. Decent, basic boxing skills, Webb, all 20 stone of him trundling forward. But area fights are 10 rounds, not 12. And you got the feeling, okay, if Webb's serious about winning this, he's got to start putting some pressure on. In the second round, he did. He actually was moving forward and letting his punches go. And interestingly, from I think quite early on, he was throwing some body punches. You could tell that Webb was thinking in there. You could see what he was trying to do. There was nothing particularly scientific about it. But his attitude seemed to be, and of course, I'm only surmising this. I don't know whether this was the case, but he was like, okay, this guy's had 5 fights against very low levels. I've beaten, a couple of good men, decent men. I've been in with some good guys, whether I've won or lost, and I'm going to ask some questions of you. We'll see if you can do 10 rounds because Courtney Bennett had never been beyond 4 rounds. Nick had never been beyond 6, so it wasn't as if there was a great deal in terms of experience of rounds done. But I think the fact that pressure was off Nick as well, and that everyone expected him to lose, meant that he was able to go about his business in a sort of unfussy, very sort of relaxed manner. And the pressure probably, if there was any pressure, was on Bennett. Now, this was at the York Hall, which if you've ever been to the York Hall, it's like a cauldron. It ain't a bad seat in the house. You can be upstairs, downstairs. You see perfectly. It's a brilliant, brilliant venue. Of all the boxing venues I've been to York Hall the most, and it's probably my favourite. If you're a small hall sort of junkie like I am, I much prefer the small hall boxing to arenas or stadiums. I'm not overly keen. I did quite enjoy the Albert Hall when they used to show fights back in I used to go there in the 80s. But to be honest with you, the York Hall's my favourite venue. But it is a cauldron. You can feel the pressure. And I got the feeling that Bennett, I gave him the 3rd round. I thought he edged the 3rd round, but there wasn't a great deal in it. And then in the 4th, Webb again was putting the pressure on, and you could tell that even at that early stage, Bennett was beginning to sag a bit. He had his mouth open. Well, this continued. The pressure continued. And it wasn't as if Bennett was, quitting or necessarily sort of in the middle rounds trying to just, hang on. He was trying to win. And he was leaving it all in the ring. But certainly by the 6th round, he looked absolutely exhausted. Whereas Webb, despite the fact he himself had never gone beyond 6 rounds, he had paced himself far better. There seemed to be more, he seemed to be thinking more. He seemed to be not just a step ahead or a punch ahead, but a thought ahead of Bennett. That's the impression I got watching this fight. And it certainly paid dividends because, like I say, by the 6th round, Bennett was running on empty. And in the 8th round, I mean, he had nothing left, absolutely nothing left. And, okay, you thought in the 9th round he's going to get stopped. Well, he was stopped, but it wasn't by Webb. In fact, I think he lost his mouthpiece. The referee took him over to the corner. A few words were exchanged, and the corner decided to pull him out. And I think that was a wise decision because the poor guy had nothing less. But Bennett, credit to him, he left it in the ring. I'm not got anything bad to say about him. He's got to work on his conditioning. This was a jump up too much, 10 rounds. I mean, he should be maybe come down to do maybe a 6 and then a couple of 8s and do it that way. Because he did show some good basic boxing skills. I'm sure he could win this title, this Southern Area title, maybe an English title later on, but he's got to get his conditioning sorted out and he needs more experience. And with Webb at 37 and all 20 stone, I mean, he looked out of shape. He looked like he had a big spare tire around his middle. And when I saw it, I thought, he's just turned up for the payday. Proved me wrong. And now he's got that Southern Area title. Maybe he can go for the English. Was it David Adelaide? Has he still got the English? I wouldn't rule him out. I mean, Nick, his 3 defeats are on stoppage or knockout. But he's now got 14 stoppages and 18 wins, so he can whack a bit. And he's with this. He seemed, I could be wrong about this, but he seemed to have this presence about him, which is like, okay, I'm a different man. I've had 3 years out. I've reflected. I've been philosophical about my career, and now I can move on without any pressure. If he can carry that into future fights, I don't see why he should stop at the Southern Area level. I mean, if he was to get the British somewhere along the line, that would be a massive achievement for him because he's a good domestic level fighter. And he'll be, on his day, he'll be a handful for anyone, certainly for any prospect. He was too much for Courtney Bennett. Bennett will have to go back to the drawing board and try and sort himself out. And, we'll see what happens. We'll see if he can come again. He's only 28, which isn't old for a heavyweight. But, you live and learn, don't you? Sometimes you learn your lessons the hard way, and Courtney Bennett learned a lesson the hard way against Nick Webb. Anyway, did you see this fight? It was on the undercard at the TNT Sam Gilly fight. TNT, I watched it on TNT. Well, I watched it via TNT boxing. Sam Gilly, Jack McGann was the headliner. Is the headliner? That hasn't actually happened yet, so I'll be having a look at that. Let me know if you like this fight. I do like a good heavyweight scrap, good domestic heavyweight scraps. Where the guys are evenly matched. I always enjoy those. But let me know any thoughts you've got. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Please hit the like button as well. But it costs you nothing to subscribe, and just hit the like. Give that like button a poke, and I'll help the channel out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, and bye for now.